what do you need to feel safe enough to be sexually intimate with me? Welcome to Honest Feedback, the podcast where deep truth meets bold transformation. I'm Goddess Brittney King, a pleasure priestess and a transformational retreat facilitator who helps women connect to their deepest truths, reclaim their pleasure, and awaken their inner power.
And I'm Lisset King, an emotional ninja and transformational coach who helps leaders release baggage, heal unresolved trauma, and step into their most aligned, purposeful lives.
We've created this podcast for spirit-led individuals just like you.
Seekers of truth, personal growth, and meaningful connection. Whether you're navigating life's big questions, craving more joy and fulfillment, or simply looking for honest, relatable conversations, you're in the right place.
Through personal stories, actionable advice, and transformative insights, our ultimate goal is to empower you to create a life that's overflowing with pleasure, purpose, and authenticity.
We know you're capable of incredible things, so let's make it happen together. Welcome back to Honest Feedback. We have missed you. Well, it's only been 2 weeks, but still, we miss you all the same. Today, we've got a juicy topic for you. What are we talking about today?
Am I a slut?
Are you?
Am I a slut? Am I? Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Well, Google defines slut as having many sexual partners. And they labeled it as offensive, but they felt like they tried to put it as neutral. Many sexual partners. In this moment, according to this definition, I would not qualify. I do not qualify. How about you?
Based on this definition, in this current moment in time, while we are recording this episode, I am not a slut.
Ah, darn it. You got to remember these things. Must remember.
Must remember. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, but slut is such a particular term, and it can be really derogatory to women. I remember I was working at BuzzFeed, and I casually referred to someone as a slut. Like, you know how Regina George, like, she's a fugly slut. And like, you know, and I was just using it in a casual, like, I didn't mean malice with it, but I did definitely was like, she's a slut. And this other woman really challenged me to think about that word. And she was like, well, what do you mean by that? And why are you choosing to refer to this woman that way? And she was like, I feel like a slut is one who gives her love freely. So why are we demonizing that? And like other people who were sitting at this table were like, girl, like, don't give her a hard time, like, just blah, blah. But her and I connected, and I was like, I see you, girl. You're giving me an opportunity to be bigger, be better. I will take this and I will reflect on why I've been using this in this like casual derogatory way.
And it's such a loaded word because no one ever thinks like, it's such a double standard. It's mainly toward women.
Yes.
You know, because when men have multiple partners, he's a player. He's, I don't know, do the kids still use that word? Anyway,
I don't know.
He gets a lot of credit. Like, you know, like he's got game or something. I am dating myself with my terminology.
Well, you know something I just realized? They do it like the way that, you know, there's like the NBA and then there's like the WNBA.
Yeah.
They do it. It's like slut or male slut. Like the de facto is woman.
Yes.
So like, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's this opportunity to take back this word anyway. And today's episode is sponsored by our very own Goddess Brittney King.
Yes.
What you got for us, babe?
I am so humbled and honored to invite women into a 12-month experience with me called the Priestess Path. If you have been waiting in your life to make those bold moves, to move in that new direction, you feel like you're at the precipice of something great, and you're just feeling like you need support in taking those steps and taking that action and letting go of the baggage so that you can be your biggest, boldest, and brightest self, this is for you. It is a deep dive into yourself, into your heart, figuring out what are the things that have been holding you back and living in an embodied state of ecstatic joy. If you are interested in this experience, it is such a vibe. I love serving women in this kind of deep container. The change is magnificent. It's profound. We really get to expand. And
seriously, y'all, can I just enter? There are women that she's been working with that have been in containers for like 6 months now, and they are so fundamentally changed. They come in. They came in looking for something, and they walk out nowadays like just standing in their power. And that's what they've done in 6 months. I cannot wait for women that join in for this year-long experience.
Yes, me as well. Plus, it includes a luxury retreat in Mexico.
Did we talk about this? Or are you just giving away? Okay, yes. And it includes a luxury retreat.
It does include a luxury
Love
retreat.
That.
So if this is something that calls to you, if you've been feeling something in your heart, if you've been on the verge of being like, I know that my life is destined for more. I know that I am destined for greatness and I just need support. I'm here for you. Check out the link below and apply, and we can have a conversation.
What do you think? Should we answer that question?
Yes. Okay. Am I a slut? I've been patiently waiting for the woman I've been dating to be ready to progress physically. She was burned pretty badly by the men she was with before me. I've been what I think is very patient. Our chemistry is great. I dream and fantasize about her and us. It's been about 5 months we have been dating in earnest, and I am more than ready. Help. Am I a slut? Well, this writer, she's she, her, so we're going to use those pronouns.
Yeah.
As we've already started talking about, slut is just such a word that's tied into our culture as being derogatory about women. And like, what if it isn't?
One of the things that I love is the book, The Ethical Slut. When I first got into polyamory, that was my first assignment from my poly friend.
Oh.
They're like, read Ethical Slut. And I read it by Dossie Eason and Janet Hardy. And I loved the way they redefined the term slut.
Okay.
As anyone who celebrates their sexuality and engages in consensual, pleasurable experiences without guilt or societal constraints.
By that definition, I qualify. I am a slut.
I too am a slut based on those qualifications. And, for one thing, you even asking that question, I can feel the energy of it. You're making yourself wrong for your desires. And my invitation is, what if you didn't have the guilt? What if you didn't put the constraints of yourself? It's just, you have desires for your partner. And that's, you're allowed to have desires for your partner. When there was a lesser version of me, she existed for a while.
As we all do.
Yeah. I had this policy. I'm like, if we ain't fucking, we ain't dating. And I was very firm on that,
Yes.
I would end up in these relationships. And as I got into the realm of polyamory, my relationships did start getting more nuanced. I did have a relationship that was mostly platonic. Like, we would make out and cuddle and do things, and we never dove into the sexual, like the deeper intimacy. Never mixed the fluids, and and yet I deeply love this partner. And what I allowed myself to do in that time was, she was one of many partners. We had this beautiful emotional intimacy that we were able to share. And then I had other partners that I was having, that kind of sex with. So there's a really beautiful opportunity for you to redefine this relationship and ask like, hey, I love our connection. I love our chemistry. I am patiently here for you. And is this something that you'd be willing to move into, or can we redefine it as maybe we have this relationship and it's more on the asexual side? And, really question yourself, are you good with that? Are you good having a friendship with this person that doesn't involve sex? We want to be fully transparent and find a place where you're being honest and open, and still, consent goes both ways. Yeah,
I love what you're saying. It's a really beautiful opportunity. And what I'm hearing you say is like, I've been patient. I'm into the connection. You're really honoring this person's autonomy. You're building this great foundation of trust and respect and consent. And so like all of these things are like yum, yum, yum. Yes, yes, yes. And there's an opportunity to have an honest conversation about like, what do we want this relationship to be? How do you determine what is a romantic partnership for you? And I want you to absolutely hold the space of like your feelings, your desire, what you are feeling is absolutely normal and it's not wrong. It's not wrong to have sexual desire or sexual urge, particularly for someone you're attracted to and in a romantic, whatever, situation, flirtation, relationship with. So from the place of not making yourself wrong, not making your desires wrong, opening the space to have a deeper and honest conversation about sex and sexuality and what you each need and desire from what you would consider a romantic relationship. And this got me thinking, something that is a really powerful question that you can introduce in this conversation is, what do you need to feel safe enough to be sexually intimate with me? And ask your person this question. And maybe they have considered this or maybe they haven't. I know as someone who was previously navigating trauma and PTSD responses and all sorts of things, there've been moments where it's like, oh, there's freeze, or like, I'm not sure, like it was a yes, it's a no now. And I mean, and I'm not saying this is your situation, but Lisset was the first woman I was dating. And I felt very nervous about opening up the space of being that kind of sexual. I was like, well, I've never done this before. And And like, for those who are new to the WLW, sometimes it can be a little, for people who do not know what that means women loving women. I was going to say for my straight friends. But there can be a lot of nuance. So it's a great place to reflect for both you and for her of like, what do I need to feel safe enough to be sexually intimate? And this does not have to be a question that's just for, hey, I'm new to dating women. I think it's a question we should all be asking ourselves before we're exchanging fluids.
100%. That reminds me of, there have been times, even in the context of our relationship, where we were moving, healing, and something happened and it was like, ooh, I need a little space to move through this. And we created space, which sometimes felt like months, as we were navigating, like, oh my gosh, I'm processing this new thing that I had never dealt with before. I've never gave it this name before. And now I need a little space sexually to move through this. And we were able to hold space for each other because we knew that the sexual attraction was there. We knew that we would come back to it, and we were still being loving and patient for each other while we navigated that space. So it sounds to me like you've done such a beautiful job of that. My invitation to you is to reevaluate your relationship with the word slut. Like being a slut in the progressive sense, it's about embracing and celebrating your desires.
Yeah.
And so instead of making it wrong that you have these desires, have them while still creating emotional safety and consent for the woman that you love. And as long as you're being patient in that space, when the time does come and you do get to the other side of it, it will be so beautiful and yummy and juicy. It will be worth the wait 100% if that is the direction where this relationship is going. But it's going to take a really deep conversation of you sharing where you are. And I would say share every bit of it. Share your desires, your fantasies, how you're so ready to experience this with this person, and you're being patient with them.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. There's so much yumminess, and this is an opportunity. Like, be honest. Be honest. Sometimes in our quest to hold space for others, we're like, well, I'm going to open the space for them to be honest, but I'm not going to really be honest about what I feel or what I would desire. And so how can you, with like no push, no agenda, no this has to mean something, share what it is that you would desire or what might be okay for you. So I'm wondering, based on your question, it has led me to believe there's not sexual intimacy. Are there other kinds of intimacy that are being formed that are feeling nourishing for you? Can we celebrate those things and then incorporate them into some kind of physical acts of affection? Like, Is kissing okay? Is holding hands okay? Is naked cuddling okay? Like starting to even just get curious and asking. There's something in relationship anarchy called the smorgasbord, and it just kind of has all these different kinds of activities. And so it's like, what if we bring about like all different kinds of touch? What if there's non-penetrative sexual touch? Would that be okay? You know, sometimes people think of sex as like all or nothing. Like if there's not a P and a V, then it don't count. And like, I mean, I'm gay, so I just don't subscribe to that narrative. There's just so much more. There's so much more. Yeah. And then it's like, can we explore what pleasure might be like together? Are we open to mutual masturbation next to each other, being in the space of being intimate and vulnerable in this way without necessarily touching each other in this particular, like there can just be so much to play with. There can be so much to play with, especially when we're leaning into consent and pleasure.
I mean, I want to go back to your original question, which is, am I a slut? And the choice is yours. You know, am I a slut? Based on this progressive definition, I am a slut. And there was a time I was a hoe faux show, 100%. And I've got absolutely no shame in it.
Yes.
Every single partner, everything that has come through my past has allowed me to come in my present. It's fantastic.
Yes, it has.
So you called the right people because we're never going to shame you. You are who you are, and you deserve all the yumminess. And you know, being in partnership, it is both of you. It's a conversation. It's an honest conversation, and you're allowed to define it, redefine it. Brittney and I, like I said, we've gone through spaces where we needed healing, and we were in our previous wounds. We've both been through assault of some sort, and man, PTSD is a real thing.
Yeah,
we've had to move through that and create space to allow the goodness back in. But we do always come back.
Yeah. I'm someone who's very partial to like the rebranding of slut. Like, can we introduce the sacred slut? Like, what if it's sacred to own your desires and own your pleasure and say, fuck guilt, fuck shame, fuck judgment, leave all of that outside and really embrace all of your desires and all that you want while respecting other people and their desires.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is so juicy. Thank you so much for writing in to the podcast. It's been an honor to serve you, and let us know how it goes. You know, the options are infinite. It all starts with having an honest conversation. So start there.
Yeah. And if you have a question, why don't you go ahead and give us a call at 971-895-4111. Hit the like button, share, follow, all the things, because all of that helps us get out to your community. And until we meet again, be honest with each other.
Bye.